I just had the most enlightening phone call with Sir Carl Humphrey. Does that name ring a bell?
No, ma'am.
No. He's the director of the Ashmolean Museum. Remember now?
Oh, I just forgot his name for a moment.
Your article on the abstracts book had many quotes from its director, added a lot of credibility to your review. However, Sir Carl doesn't recall making any of those comments or even meeting with you. He was puzzled at how you could have cited a conversation that never existed.
Mrs. Pullman, I wasn't trying to...
What were you thinking? What's the slogan of the Gazette, everyone?
Excellence and truth.
Excellence and truth. That's right, simple. I understand that you are a student, but anyone who works for this paper will be above reproach. Teddy, you are a good reporter, but you leave me no choice. You're dismissed. Also, the Board of Governors will be holding a disciplinary hearing tomorrow at 4 p.m. Your attendance is required.
Oh, but Mrs. Pullman, I report on all governance issues, and you've just dismissed me.
Teddy is being summoned as a defendant, not a reporter. Teddy, come here, please. Your actions violated the Student Oxford Ethics Code, and now your enrollment is under review. I suggest you come up with a good explanation for your actions, or you may expect probation, or worse. Good luck to you, young man.
Thank you, ma'am.
Let this be a lesson to all of you that I will not tolerate foolishness. I don't like missed deadlines, but I hate deceit even more. Teddy is lucky that Sir Carl didn't choose to press any criminal charges. Well, don't just stand there. Get back to work. We have a paper to get out that now requires a retraction. Cal, I'll be down at the printer. Give me that final layout as quick as you can.
Yes, ma'am.
Poor Teddy. I knew he was stressed about that deadline, but I didn't think he would do this. Do you think he'll be expelled?
Oh, of course he will. He broke the ethics code. I just hope that he hasn't ruined the reputation of the Gazette for the rest of us.
Sympathetic as usual, Elizabeth.
Sympathy won't help any of us if we don't get that layout very soon. Let's get back to work, everyone.
Irene, perfect timing. We're man down and all rushing to get the paper out today. We need everyone.
Why? What's happened?
Teddy didn't actually interview the director of that Ashmolean in his last article.
Oh no. Did Mrs. Pullman find out? Is he in trouble?
You've only been here 2 months, but I'm sure you know how Mrs. Pullman took everything.
He's been dismissed, hasn't he?
Dismiss seems like such a tame word for what we just saw. Teddy's face was so red, I thought he was going to pass out. Needless to say, I'm glad I've always kept my nose clean with Mrs. Pullman. New goal, don't lie to Mrs. Pullman, ever.
Sounds like a good plan.
I need 2 messengers. Here, quickly. You go to Exeter College and give this to the librarian. No detours. I need the answer for my research immediately.
Yes, ma'am. I'll run as fast as I can.
Iris, Sarah Coffee's approved. We've got a deadline and we're down on the road.
It's Irene. Coming now.
Go quickly, please.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Elizabeth. I wasn't trying to force.
The intern. I should have known. You're 6 months and sooner. Well, don't just stand there. Clean this up.
I'm sorry.
I do not have time for this today. Oh, and you need to run and get me the mock layout of the front page for me. You'll have to go downstairs to the printer to get it. If you can have a change your floors without making another mess.
That's enough, Elizabeth. You should manage the printer if you want Irene to clean this up too. She can't be 2 places at once. Can she? Let me help you with this.
Thank you, Alice. It really was just an accident.
Of course it was. In all this chaos, it's easy to get run over if you aren't careful.
I know I'm just the intern, but I wish people would at least learn to be polite.
I'll pray for everyone to be kinder.
Praying for kindness. If you think that'll help, then thanks, I guess. I wanted this internship so I could get a chance to be a real reporter, not run messages all over Oxford. I'm just glad Mrs. Pullman. That's taken care of. How's the final layout looking?
Okay, well, should be ready for the printer in the next hour.
Oh, good. Just what I like to hear. Alice, how did the photos turn out for the bonfire
I
night?
got some great shots of the Emory College celebrations. As soon as the picture's finished drying, they'll be on your desk.
Oh, excellent. I'm glad something's going well after all that the best policy.
Yes, ma'am.
This drama couldn't have happened at a worse time. One of our Oxford professors recently published his fourth book in a series of books for children. His name is C.S. Lewis. Quite a popular author and such an opportunity to feature him in our paper. But now we don't have a writer for the literary column. Is anyone willing to take over the literary column?
Well, I could do it.
You? Is something funny, Elizabeth?
Oh, Mrs. Coleman, Irene is nothing but an intern. She runs errands and fills our coffee books. Well,
Now, Mrs. Coleman, if you give me a
you
chance, I think...
are so wise to let the ones with experience handle these things.
Well, experience won't write a story. Deadline is Monday, the 16th.
Don't be discouraged. You probably wouldn't even be able to get an interview with C.S. Lewis anyways.
Thank you for reminding me, Elizabeth. Professor Lewis is unavailable for any personal interviews, though his publisher is willing to speak with us. Perhaps you could charm your way
I
into...
know him. What do you mean? What do you mean you know him?
C.S. Lewis, he's a dear friend of mine.
Then you could easily get a personal interview with him. Maybe even find out plans for his next book.
Yes, ma'am, pardon me for saying that, but I really don't think that we should let this intern write for the Gazette. She probably doesn't even know.
Remind me what year you are.
I'm a first year, ma'am.
That's right, Queen's College, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am, I'm studying journalism.
Well, Elizabeth does have a fair point. Have you ever written for a newspaper before?
No.
Huh. Well, you could be absolutely terrible, but since you have a personal connection, maybe I should give you a chance.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but we both know my capabilities. She is too young and clearly inexperienced to handle such an opportunity.
She hasn't earned her spot.
And I'll get started on this right away.
She hasn't earned her spot yet. Pardon? Irene, today is your lucky day. You and Elizabeth have 5 days to write me a 500-word minimum, front-page worthy story on how Professor Lewis became the author he is today and why he's so popular. I will select the best article for publication and give the literary column to its writer. May the best woman win.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Coleman.
Layout is ready, Mrs. Coleman.
Oh, I'll be right there, Hal. Alice, come here, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Go with Irene here and get some photos of Professor Lewis. At least we'll have something interesting out of this experience.
So your big chance came sooner than you thought.
That remains to be seen. You girls work together, and Irene set up a time to meet with him. His rooms are located in Magdalen College.
Yes, ma'am. I should
But
be able to.
he's hardly ever there.
How did you know that, and how did you not know that?
Well, you see,
I had Professor Lewis for medieval literature class last semester. Me and my friend would always wonder why he was rushing into class or running through town, and we followed him one day, and it turns out he was running home. He calls it the kilns.
That's right, the kilns. You see, I'm not as familiar with his teaching schedule, so I wasn't aware he never used his house.
Oh, he only uses the classrooms during the day, but he doesn't use the living quarters.
My family would only visit him on summer holidays, so I'm not as familiar with his teaching schedules.
Well, I see. I want your paper ready as soon as possible. I want it ready for next Thursday's edition.
Yes, ma'am. I won't let you down.
No time like the present, I always say. Professor Lewis was usually adamant about protecting his privacy, but you've got special privileges, right?
Oh, no, Alice, I don't think we should be going to this.
Don't tell me anything. I want to be surprised. I always imagined this house had a great statue of a lion, or even a fawn painting, or...
I don't think you'll be the only one who's surprised.
How nice of you girls to visit. I'm sure he's going to be very surprised by how much you've grown up. Professor, look who's here.
Who's this?
Why, you must have grown up quite a bit, dear. This is Miss Irene
Professor
Carrington.
Lewis, I don't know if you remember me from last year. I was in your medieval literature class.
Yes, Miss Brooks. First semester of medieval literature,
Yes,
correct?
sir.
Yes.
Well, you girls must be frozen from your walk, so I'll be right back with the tea tray.
Oh, Mrs. Tilby,
to, but if you must, Alice, why don't you take our coats so Mrs. Tilby doesn't have to manage them in the tea tray?
Yes, I'd love to help you there.
I'm sorry, Miss Carrington, but I seem to have forgotten this appointment.
Yes,
Major Warren Lewis, Miss Carrington. Pleasure to meet you. Please sit down. Sadly, it's not the first time Jack has forgotten his scheduled appointment.
Well, actually, there was no scheduled appointment. You see, sir, I really want to be a reporter, but I'm just an intern at the University Gazette. But then, today our editor said she needed a piece written on you. And so I lied and said that you were a very dear friend of mine and that you'd love to help me write.
Calm down, Miss Carrington. Breathe. That's an awful lot of information to hurl at a person. Now, what would you have me do with this newfound knowledge?
Oh, sir, would you please pretend like we've always known each other so that Alice won't go and tell Mrs. Coleman?
You would like me to be complicit in a lie so that you can write a column?
Oh, sir, it's not just a column. It's my only chance to be taken seriously.
I see. And as much as I understand and commiserate with your situation, I do not see how lying is the answer to your problem.
But if I hadn't lied, I would have never had this opportunity.
If you hadn't pretended to be something you are not. Lies are a difficult thing to contain, Miss Carrington.
I know that. When she actually gave me the job, I thought this was my big break, but now I see that was beyond foolish to me. I'll collect Alice and we'll be on our way.
But then you would never be able to write your article.
What are you saying?
What I'm saying, Miss Carrington, is that I am happy to answer the questions of any aspiring writer, whether she is a stranger or not. Now, on condition of this interview, you must promise me that you will be absolutely honest with your editor and anyone else in the paper that you apply to just as soon as possible. You see, as my brother says, lies are difficult to maintain and nearly always come to light.
I understand it. I'll make things right very soon.
So, what is it that you would like to know?
Well, first of all, why did your brother call you Jack just now when all your books say they're published by C.S. Lewis?
My given name is Clyde Staples Lewis, but I've always hated it. So, very early on, I christened myself Jack after the family dog. And Jack I've been ever since.
Professor, we'd like to include your photograph in the literary column if you would allow us.
Thank you, Alice.
Try not to look so serious this time and maybe show some teeth.
I am amenable, but would prefer my brother to be absent. You see, helping's not helping, if you know what I mean.
Yes, sir, I have two older brothers, so no explanations required.
Since I can be of no help here, I will check on Mrs. Tilby in the kitchen.
Yes. Well, then we don't want to impose on your evening much longer, so if you don't mind, we can begin the interview right now.
Yes, go ahead.
Well then.
Here we are, girls. Nothing like a warm cup of tea and biscuit to make the body feel good.
I can verify the power of Mrs. Tilby's shortbread. In fact, I think I shall have another.
Oh, law for you, sir. You have had 2 biscuits in the kitchen, and I suspect you have a few stashed in your pockets as well. I have a tin for each of you to share with your flatmates as you leave. I just have to keep him out a little while longer.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Tilby. You really don't have to. Unless you want to. Irene, we'd be the most popular girls, provided we share.
I agree. Mrs. Tilby, you are the best of bakers.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, Warnie, are you going to leave as well?
I am happy to stay unless it will distract you.
Not at all.
Well then, sir, what inspired you to become an author?
Well, I suppose you could say it's because of old thumbs.
Allow me to explain. My brother and I inherited a rather unique trait from our father. Our thumbs only have one joint, so typical boyhood games like catching and throwing were absolutely disastrous.
I never noticed before.
But I still don't understand. How do single-jointed thumbs convince someone they should become an author?
Now, let me be serious. Warnie and I grew up in County Cork, Ireland, near Belfast, in a home we called Little Lee. It was a beautiful home. It had a great big attic. It was perfect for young boys to
I think the changes you made in England look good. But Jack, why not add more modern things for even more interesting adventures?
The medieval scenes are great and all, but
He has just learned that the cats are besieging the town of Murray, and so he's leading his troops to defeat the deadly beast. I've titled the story The Relief of Murray.
The sword is in his touch. But yeah, I've been thinking. What if we combine India with your land and add in the railroads and steamships in the hub?
Well, then it wouldn't be much of an animal land anymore, would it? We'd have to have people in India. I don't like it. What should we call the new place?
What about boxing?
Boston? I love it. We should start playing at once. We're coming. Where should we play?
No, maybe the river here.
The railroad should go.
What has you boys so excited?
We're inventing a new place.
Jack, I have the best idea ever. Remember when Mother took us to the coast and I bought that timetable? We could use the map of the Great Northern Railways to plan out Boston's railroad system. I think it's on my dresser, or on my nightstand, or maybe even on my table.
Dad, how are you able to keep track of your stories when they're scattered all over the floor like this?
They're not stories. They're just rough ideas. The real stories are on the wall, or in a journal like this.
The Relief of Murray. Is Murray his house?
No, it's actually a city in my animal, where I dress up animals like small nut candy.
Of course. May I read your story?
Yes, would you allow? Like before you got sick at bedtime. It made me feel like a real author.
It would be an honor, good sir. The Relief of Murray by Jack Lewis. We have been listening to Peter all afternoon, but now we went out to enjoy the cool summer air. Peter was the famous and illustrious knight, Sir Peter Mouse, and the we was myself and some friends. Peter had been telling us an interesting tale about a knight and his lady. She was called Mom. But we had got tired of the legend the good knight was telling, and maybe that was because it was the easy one to get tired of. We arrived at the grounds of Bib Castle to enjoy the fine summer winds. Lady Maud said to Sir Peter, "Would you like to go hockey with me, my lord? The edge of the Jemima River is a fine spot." "What a kind invitation," said Dormy. But Sir Peter said, "Oh no, good lady. There is much more serious work to be done." "Haven't you heard the news from Murray?" "I have not heard." "Please tell me, good sir." Sir Peter said, "The cats have besieged Murray and it will fall into their hands if we do not send help very soon."
Mother, are you okay? Let me call for father.
"Oh no, I'm quite all right. I just need to rest for a moment." "See, better already. Let's keep reading." "Well, that is terrible news," exclaimed Dormy. "If my lord will allow us, we shall send help in the morning. I will lead the expedition myself. Hooray!" The next morning, after an early breakfast, we started in the direction of Murray, which we sighted in the evening. It was surrounded completely by enemy tents. In the early morning, we covered our shining armor with dark cloaks and crept up behind the cat sentries. Fighting erupted between the soldiers from both sides as we took the cats by surprise. Sir Peter chased after the king of the cats and caught him just as he leaped onto a nearby bench. The dangerous cat jabbed his sword towards Sir Peter, narrowly missing him with his blade. Sir Peter swung his sword at the captain's legs. The agile cat jumped backward to avoid Sir Peter's swing, and in the process fell off the bench. But instead of hitting the dusty ground, he landed perfectly on his feet. He was a cat after all. The enemy leader looked around in terror as he realized his army was losing the battle. It became clear he would not win against Sir Peter and his brave army of mice. Desperately, the defeated enemy yelled for his cats to retreat. The cat army retreated into the thick woods until the mice could no longer see them. The mice had done it! They had driven the cats out of the city. Sir Peter raised his sword in victory and led the army of mice through the gates and onto the walls of Murray. Under the leadership of Sir Peter, the mice of Murray were freed once again. The siege was raised! Sounds exciting. You really write so vividly.
I found it! Jack, what did you say? Mother, are you hurt or feeling poorly? You shouldn't have climbed all those stairs to come up here.
Thank you, Warren, my fierce protector. Jack and I were just discussing his latest story, and I needed to rest for a moment.
But you look sad.
Mother, Warren, he told me I was wrong for saying this, but I told God, well, that if he didn't heal you of your cancer, I wouldn't believe in him anymore. So you see, he has to make you well soon.
I told you it was a bad idea. It made Mother even worse.
Boys, no more. My dear boy, you can't argue with God. And warning, Jack didn't make me feel worse. He just made me very aware of how much more I need to teach you about your faith. But there is time for that in the future. Jack, I'm so impressed by your imaginative storytelling. You know, I was a writer too.
But I thought you were a mathematician. You remind me often enough and forcing me to learn next math concepts.
I do not understand how we are your sons. I detest math above all else, and Warren struggles with it too.
I am a mathematician, but I'm also an author. I even had a story published in a magazine once.
Why have you never told us this before? That's way more interesting than adding sums and reducing fractions.
Well, that is a story for another time. I came up here for a different reason. I have something special for you.
I'll wager. It's a book.
A Bible?
Yes, Jack, the greatest book you'll ever read.
What about school?
Even greater than its grown-up book.
Thank you, Mother. Jack?
Yes, thank you, Mother.
Someday soon, I hope you realize that your faith is about more than attending church with us on Sundays, or trying to wager with God to get what you want. Please realize how much your life belongs to Him rather than yourself. Cherish this book. He promises that His words are always true and always of value.
Yes, Mother.
Now, what about your railroad planning for Boston?
The Bible Mother gave me will always be one of my most cherished possessions. It was the last gift she gave us before she passed.
Yes, sadly, I did not treasure Mother's gift as much as I should have. Squirrel Bumpkin held a far dearer place in my heart at the time. When I think of that boy who tried so desperately to bargain with God, I mourn for his fragile faith. You see, he could not understand how a God who claimed to be loving and good take away his mother with cancer.
But your prayers weren't answered, so you were proved correct.
Oh no, you're mistaken, Miss Kennedy. Prayer is always answered. In this case, it was not the way my heart had decided.
After Father died, we went back to Little Lee to bury the past, quite literally. But the one thing we did preserve were the drawings and stories from Emmeline and Davison.
I'm confused. How did that boy, full of whimsy, become the serious Oxford academic before me?
Are you saying that intellect and imagination are incompatible?
Well, no, sir. but
Mrs.
you
Dooley, let me help you with those dishes.
Are you still willing to help if I tell you the remaining biscuits are already packed away for these young ladies?
Oh, are they? Perhaps I shall let you finish on your own. I may bring something.
That's what I thought.
Irene, you really need to talk with Hal at the paper. He's the one who encouraged me to take medieval literature with Professor Lewis last semester. Told me it would change my life. He still talks about you all the time, sir.
Hal, this would be young Harold Colton.
Yes.
Yes. Please give young Hal my regards and thank him for the character reference.
Of course, I'd be happy to, but there's actually something that's confused some of your students for quite a while now.
Well, how may I ease your curiosity?
Well, I'm sure you've sold a lot of books and you're such a famous author. Why do you live so...
Humbly? Well, for a great many years, I lived off of the charity of my father. So frugality became a necessity, so it is still part of me today. Plus, I am terrible with numbers. So balancing my checkbook is even more of a chore than you can imagine.
It's difficult to imagine such a brilliant man struggling to balance his checkbook. But that does bring me back to my original question. How did you become a respected Oxford academic when you struggled with the maths and were more interested in writing stories about dressed animals?
Maybe there was no mathematics section on the entrance exam not long ago?
The Oxford entrance exam truly changed my life.
But, sir, how can a test change your life?
Let me be precise. The preparation to enter Oxford changed my life. You see, up until this point, my formal education had ranged from cruel headmasters who taught us absolutely nothing, to long bouts of illness and missed classes. My father so despaired for my academic aptitude that he sent me to live with the great knock.
And the great knock, that was...
Professor William Kirkpatrick, better known as the Great Knock. I was terrible with numbers myself, but he managed to tutor me well enough. I got a prize military cadet scholarship.
Yes, and since he had done such wonders with Harney, Father figured that he was the solution to my academic situation as well. So, off I was, shipped to the wilds of Surrey for 3 years. The Great Knock made a definite first impression when
Lewis, I assume?
Yes, sir. I didn't expect this part of England to look so wild.
Wild.
Yes, Surrey has a certain wildness about it that I didn't expect.
And what does this word mean, Mr. Lewis? Wildness. And how did you come to use it?
I don't know, sir. It was just an opinion.
We do not speak our opinions unless logic backs them up. What did you know of the Surrey countryside before you arrived, and what had you expected? Were you educated in the flora and geography of Surrey to base your opinion on something other than what you had expected?
No. No, sir.
Do you not see, then, that your remark was meaningless? Very well. I trust you've learned your first lesson. We shall begin with your knowledge of Greek. We shall start with the Iliad.
Sir, my mother taught me some Greek, but I don't yet read it fluently. If we are to study the Iliad, I believe we must do it in English.
Just some Greek? I had expected more from the son of Albert Lewis. Did he always tell you he achieved high marks in my Greek classes at Wickham College? Oh well, it seems his law has taken up all these times these days that he's left your education with the classics to others. Very well then, we have some work to do, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Study of Homer here for today. Be sure to use your study time later to progress through the next 20 lines. I plan to finish the Trojan War by Thursday.
I will
do my best, sir.
Moving on to Euclidean geometry.
Sir, I fear my aptitude for numbers is minimal. Mother often struggled to explain the steps of an equation.
Mr. Lewis, your father's letter stated that you attended 3 other institutions before arriving at my doorstep. Please explain why your mother appears to have been your only teacher.
I had a governess at home, but mother was a mathematician, so she often supervised my studies in that area. That I did not inherit her skills in logic and ciphering have proved to be some of my deepest regrets.
As the most evolved of all living things, man is not limited by his inherited traits. Logic and reason can be taught, and the mind can be expanded. Mr. Lewis, if it can be observed, it can be understood.
A most encouraging thought, sir.
I made no reference to feelings, Mr. Lewis. I was stating the fact. Truth always trumps emotions. You are here to become a trained rationalist and to pass the Oxford entrance exam.
I will do my best, sir.
Now open your book to page 15, and we shall ascertain just what you know about proofs.
That would be nothing.
Speak up, sir.
I hope to prove myself up to the task.
How original. Are not fiends a figment of the imagination?
These brutal German
But none of the brutes do anything of the kind. Remember your Latin, Mr. Lewis. A brute is merely an animal.
What am I to call them?
Is it not plain we should call them simply humans?
Yes, sir. I find the devastation caused by these German humans to be particularly important because they murder civilians.
I hear you. Strive to come to a logical conclusion sooner. I find it preposterous that human beings would open their mouths for any purpose except that of communicating or discovering truth. Reason and logic are the only way to know this truth, Mr. Lewis. Remember that before speaking.
Yes, sir. Dear Gordon, Professor Kirkpatrick is exactly as you described it, and nothing like father's nostalgic memories. He does not make conversation. He does not joke. If ever a man was a purely logical entity, it is the great rock. Even the most casual remark is subject to his careful dissection. I'm sure most boys would not like this teaching method, but I'm thriving on the challenge to my mind. Here is a man who does not think about your feelings as a person, but about the truth and logic of what you say. He is astonished that anyone exists who would not desire to have their thinking clarified or corrected. One oddity I've noticed is his carefulness to never attack religion in my presence. Great Knock has made it crystal clear that he has rejected all beliefs in any God. So this unusual consideration
Only that which can be seen and heard is real. Only fools trust in the fiction of an all-powerful deity. Most excitedly, I have discovered something that spoke to my soul from its first words. McDonald's Fantastiques has captured my imagination with its fantastical worlds beyond. Sincerely,
the scene at the stone table, where Aslan takes the place of Edmund. It is so clearly a representation of Christ taking the place of sinful mankind. I always thought you were a Christian.
I hear you. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a habit I picked up from the great dog. Whenever I would say something interesting or worthwhile, instead of correction or criticism, he would say, I hear you. That meant I had said something that could be expounded on.
I see. And did you— Irene! It's 8:30! Curfew's at 10! We must be going! But Alice, I don't have nearly enough for the column. You haven't taken any photos. We don't have time now.
Miss Brooks, you fetch your coat. I will get the taste of shortbread from Mrs. Tilby.
Sir, you've been so kind to me already, and it'd be so presumptuous of me to ask, but could I possibly—
Continue the interview another time?
Yes.
Yes, I believe I have a free evening 3 days from now. You are more than welcome to ask the rest of your questions then.
Thank you, sir.
Just don't forget your promise.
I won't. I'll take care of things.
We really must thank you, both of you, for opening up your home, but we must be going. It was lovely to see you again, Professor, and a joy to meet you, Major. I hope you don't get in trouble with Mrs. Tilby after we leave. I fear for your safety.
Encouraging as always, Elizabeth. How's your writing coming?
Morning, Cal. Very nicely. Professor Lewis was very helpful last evening. Hopefully I'll be joining your team soon if this article goes well.
Oh, I see you must add woefully optimistic to your resume.
That's enough. We get it. She's been allowed to try for something you think she should have. Try to exercise some professional courtesy for once.
What's not to say? Really, Jeff, how could you accuse me so unjustly? This first year has no experience and only got this opportunity because of her connections. So I said nothing but the truth about the future. Excuse me, I must go powder my nose before the university council meeting.
Please excuse Her Majesty the Queen. She's not the spokesman for everyone.
No, Elizabeth's right. I have something to prove, and I will. I have to.
That sounded way more serious than just writing one article.
Well, you see, my parents are beyond proud of me for getting accepted into Oxford, but they think I should be studying for something a bit more financially stable than becoming a writer.
Well, you're not alone. My parents aren't fans of my college studies either.
That's because you spend more time having fun than on the studies part of college.
Hey, I take my job writing the student column very seriously. And there's way more student life happening at a rugby match than there is in the library.
Thus proving my point. But don't let him fool you. He's never used to step up. He's a brilliant writer and one of my best mates. We were talking about you, but what kind of writer do you want to be?
Well, ever since I was young, I've wanted to be a war correspondent.
That's very unusual.
I know. Do you remember reading Mary Henderson's accounts of her time in Greece during World War II? How she hid away Allied soldiers and then was discovered by the SS?
When I read her articles in the Time magazine, I knew I wanted to be just like her. Not being discovered, of course, and sent away to prison camps, but experiencing adventures firsthand and then making them real for other people. I'm sorry, enough about me. I hear that you're the resident Lewis expert on staff. Alice sang your praises to the professor and me last evening.
Did she? Well, I'm not an expert, but I'm definitely a fan of his writing. I remember the first time I read Screwtape Letters. He thinks of using a demon to expose the weaknesses of a Christian. He's so clever.
Hal, please make some changes to the front page. Alice should have some pictures of you.
Yes, I've been working on it. I heard that there was this one time that he and Professor Tolkien tossed a coin to decide what topic they should write about. Rumor has it that Dark Tower's the result. Seems a bit too far-fetched, but then so is a medieval literature expert writing about time travel. Do you know, does the coin cost a reason?
Of course. Professor Lewis, Jack can be very eccentric.
You know, you're kind of a legend around here. Mrs. Coleman usually has no patience with inexperience, but here you are, getting the chance as an intern. But then, Mrs. P's never had a rookie who can say she's a world-class friend with a famous author.
Actually, I often forget just how famous he is. I usually think of him as this man my family's always known.
You do have to wonder, though, how is it that you just... I'm going to use the university calendar events for this week. Elizabeth, remember, you still have that university council meeting today at 4. Don't neglect your current responsibilities in pursuit of this new opportunity. Yes, I already have my seat reserved. Oh, excellent. Irene, Alice told me that you and her were both so distracted that she didn't have the time to snap any photos. While I appreciate how relaxing it can be to be with a friend outside of campus restrictions, I suggest you do less reminiscing and more investigating, please.
Yes, ma'am. I'm taking this opportunity very seriously.
You can use any of the typewriters around here to finish your final draft if you don't have one of your own.
Thank you.
Just so you know, this is my personal property, not Space School machine. So there's no need to ask me if you can use it. I may not have your famous friends, but I do have a little common sense. And I would like to have a typewriter that has become victim to your clumsiness when I return.
Well, seeing I never asked you any of your things, Elizabeth, your precious typewriter is safe with me.
So glad we can understand each other. Farewell all, I mustn't be late. It would be terribly embarrassing for my father.
We humble commoners bid thee good day.
You all are terrible, but I do understand the nickname now.
Try to stay out of her way if you can. Her dad is a member of the Board of Governors, and she was probably serious when she said she had a reserved seat.
Well, lucky me. My big break on the line and I made enemies with the local queen. No one come near me. I'm expecting a lightning bolt next.
Don't be so superstitious. Besides, that only happens to liars anyway, so you're perfectly safe.
Of course. How silly of me.
How nice of you girls to visit again. I'm expecting the gentleman back from the walks any minute. Is it alright if I leave you two alone? I have a pie in the oven that I don't go to burn.
Thank you, Mrs. Sylvie. We'll have no trouble entertaining ourselves. How are you doing with all of this? I know it's an amazing opportunity, but I'm sure it's scary too. Hal was impressed with your courageous plans, to quote him. He also said that Elizabeth was her usual charming self yesterday.
Oh, yes. You see, I'm very excited for this opportunity and all, but
But you're scared you're gonna mess it all up and ruin your big chance?
How did you know?
Ever since Mrs. Pullman gave you this opportunity, you've been on edge. Just take a deep breath. No one doubts that you're taking this seriously. So, is there anything in particular that has you worried?
Well, actually,
Good evening, ladies. Wonderful to see you again.
Thank you for being so prompt with our appointment, Miss Carrington. How are things going with your editor? Everything all sorted out?
well, not
Let's
exactly.
use our time wisely, shall we? Professor, may I photograph you now? I was thinking more informal shots of you in motion, so to speak, would be better for the article, so pay no attention to me and continue talking with Irene.
That is my cue to leave.
Oh, you really don't have to. Unless you're using this as an excuse to visit the pie Mrs. Sylvie just took out of the oven.
I do more around here than try to get Miss Tilly's baking, believe it or not. In fact, I need to catch one of our lettuce. Notice how I'm not sneaking off to the kitchen?
Like a pie thief? Forgive my teasing, sir.
It's okay. I was going to have a slice, but I shall stay and be more productive by one virtuous act of the day.
Are we all settled then? Good. Miss Carrington, I believe that the last time we spoke you were trying to navigate the incongruity of me being a definite atheist in my youth and a devout Christian in my adulthood.
Yes, sir. Was it a slow process or a dramatic event that shifted your beliefs?
It's a gradual realization. You see, my time during World War II cemented a belief of a world without God. The atrocities that I saw on the battlefield only firmed that up as unshakable truth. It was not until my time at Oxford, first as a student, then as a teacher, that I came to the understanding of the ideas of good and evil. But I knew that something more than humans had to have defined these principles. So I was content with the understanding that there was some sort of higher power, a deity, you could say, but I wasn't sure what my responsibility was towards it. It wasn't until 1931, some years earlier, I formed a group of academics who were mainly interested in discussing mythologies and legends. We called ourselves the Inklings, and we would meet regularly.
Thank you, but I believe everyone should be finished this evening. However, could we reserve this room again for next Tuesday?
I'll ask about the possibility, and then come shortly to do that.
Thank you.
And that's my cue to leave. I need to finish the sermon I'm preparing. Jack, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Services start at 8 o'clock.
Yes, I shall try to be there.
Wait for me, Ken. I'll go with you as far as the museum. May I throw out a few questions about my latest cut that I'd like your opinion on? I don't homework. Jack, are you coming?
No, not yet. Just leave the key under the mat for me. No need to wait up.
Yes, sir. You can come with us, young man. We all know how they these kids can feel when they start talking about their rights.
Good night, all. No excuses, though, Jack. I don't care how late you stay up tonight. I expect to see you in the back here as usual.
Enough with your pestering, friend. Good night.
Good night.
Captain is available for Tuesday this week.
Thank you. Please put the reservation on your book's pen.
Very good. And the bill goes to?
That would be me. Well, since he's paying for everything, what should we have for after, scholars? I hear you like the sticky toffee pudding.
Oh,
Not on my board, you two. Jack, you know, it's really your job to be organizing these things. You are the primary farmer of our Inklings, after all.
Yes, well, thankfully my long-suffering friends take up for my disastrous ability to keep a calendar.
I think Dyson just doesn't want to repeat it last week. 7 hungry men trudging home, deprived of interesting conversation and hanging out with friends.
Yes, and now that everyone's gone, and speaking of conversation, Millers, wasn't there something you wish to tell us?
Ah, yes. I was hoping for a critique on my latest poem. Last we met, we discussed how myths are just lies breathed through silly. And I wrote a new poem.
Of course, you have our undivided attention.
It's called Mythia.
I don't think I've heard that word before. Well, knowing Tolar's love of languages, he probably invented it.
You know me well, Jack. It means the myth maker.
Clever as always.
The heart of man is not composed of lies, but rather draws the wisdom from the only wise and still recalls him. But though now long estranged, man is not wholly lost, nor is he wholly changed. I will not walk with your progressive apes erect in sapiens, for before then
I detect a not so subtle jab at evolution's growing popularity. You were not there when the universe began, so you cannot know how it was created.
No man was there, true. But just one simple glance at any organism or system in our natural order should be enough to satisfy your reason is the only truth mindset. Admit it, Jack. How much more far-fetched is it to claim that an all-knowing, all-powerful God created a world in relation to some sporadic random explosion?
I think you misunderstand me, friend. I am not arguing for evolution. I am just merely stating that it could have been any one of the creationists we see throughout mythology and history.
might I finish this before we go any further?
Apologies. Please, continue.
Thank you. Now where was I, Davison?
Progressive apes, I believe.
Ah, yes, thank you. I will not walk with your progressive apes erect in sapiens, for before them gates the dark abyss to which their progress tends. If, by God's mercy, progress ever ends, it does not ceaselessly revolve the same unfruitful course with the changing of name. Salvation changes not, nor does it destroy. Garden nor gardener, children nor their toys.
I quite like that imagery. Clever reference to Eve in relation to evolution.
Evil it will not see, for evil lies not in God's picture, but in crooked eyes. Not in source, but in malicious choice. And not in sound, but in tuneless voice. Oh, Daddy, could you spot me some more tea, please? Thank you. Some attention, please, Jeff. In paradise they make no more, they look no more awry. And though they make anew, they make no lie. Be sure they still will make, not being dead, and poets shall have flames upon their heads. Hearts whereon their faultless fingers fall, there ye shall choose forever. Trompe all.
So Tollers is seeking to prove the rationality of Christianity again.
I don't seek to rationalize Christianity, Jack. I merely seek to convince you that there's more to our world than what can be experienced through the senses. That you need to look past our everyday life to see what God is trying to tell you.
I do not deny the existence of God. Time, study, and observation have led me to conclude that there is some being responsible for all this.
Creation sings his praises to reference Psalms, but if you concede God's existence, then what, pray tell, is your obvious opposition to the reality of Christ's perfect sacrifice?
It's simple. I don't believe in any religion. There is no proof for them, and all religions, or should I say all mythologies to give them their proper name, are all merely man's own invention.
Funny you mention that, Jack. Tell me, do you oppose to a hero making a sacrifice in Greek or Norse mythology, perchance?
Not at all.
And how do you feel, Jack, when the hero makes his grand sacrifice?
Well, I quite like it when a god sacrifices himself and is then reborn, like Adonis or Balder.
You know, friend, I find it intriguing and somewhat amusing that you, for lack of a better term, celebrate this idea as long as it comes from anywhere but the Gospels.
Well, those myths only represent themselves as stories. They were never meant to be taken as truth. They are beautiful fiction, interesting lies. They were never meant to be taken as truth. And it is because of that that I can appreciate their moral commentaries and observations. You want me to take all the claims of the Bible as truth, when I object to its presumption to be anything more than it is, another well-crafted myth.
You understand more than you think, Jack. In John chapter 18, I believe it is, Pilate asked the same question, what is truth?
What? Oh, I see. Very well. I shall live up to my casting and wash my hands of all this.
But you see, Jackie, unlike other myths, the Bible is a true myth. See, the same curiosity that causes you to look for hidden messages in all other stories, whether Greek or Norse, is put there by God, who wants to draw you to himself and wants to save you from yourself.
But how do you know that the Christian story that you believe is more real than any other story?
Because, Jack, Pilate really existed. Christ's heroic sacrifice on the cross really happened, and he did it for everyone but himself. You see, until you recognize that, you will always be lost.
But I do realize this. Did you not hear Canon Fox? I have been attending the chapel services at Magdalene these past few months because I've been drawn more and more to what I call spirit, this supernatural being that somehow connects everything and has established a moral order. Let that be enough.
What you don't understand, Jack, is that that will never be enough until you accept that Christ is your only way to Christ and God. And to save you from yourself, you will be lost. No better than the pagans sacrificing to an idol. You will always be empty.
Jack, consider the Gospels again. You yourself just admitted that the people told about within them were real and existed, and we've never had that much proof of any other myth. Jesus cannot be regarded as simply some good moral teacher, because he has proven himself to all of us to be so much more than that.
Davison and Tollers have been talking about for the last 5 years. All those times that I thought I was yearning for beauty, creativity, I was actually yearning for a savior. About a week later, I subjected my life to the rule and reign of Jesus Christ and became the most reluctant convert in all of England. The amusing thing is, I made this momentous decision on a motorcycle ride home from a nearby zoo. Not a very sacred location, but definitely my most treasured joy moment.
I'm sorry, sir. Joy moment?
Yes, the Germans call it Sehnsucht. It's a feeling of deep longing or anticipation. I choose to call it joy. It's quite a bit easier to say. When I think of all those times I was yearning for beauty or imagination, but in actuality was Christ. Now, as a writer, I consider myself successful when my readers feel that same sense of longing when reading my books.
And is that why you wrote the Narnia series, to Christianize your readers?
Well, that has been written about me so many times. Book critics, educators, theologians, they all insist that I wrote the Narnia books to Christianize the world. Sadly, my goals were not as lofty.
Really? But Aslan diminishing crows in Narnia, vanquishing the White Witch, his resurrection. You cannot deny that these are all metaphorical.
It always amused me to hear people say that Jack's intent was to Christianize his readers, when I remember Kohler's reaction the first time he read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
But what could be amusing about a book reading? He was proud of his friend for writing a true myth, right?
Quite the contrary, Miss Carrington. Tollers was so critical of Jack's first draft that when Jack came home, he burned it.
Oh my. So, then why did you write the Narnia series? Where did the idea come from?
In light of your goals for the future, Miss Carrington, I believe you'll appreciate my answer. It was war.
War. You mentioned your battlefield experiences during World War I. Was that it?
Or was it the fight against the Nazis?
Oh, yes.
No, it was actually Operation Pied Piper that catapulted Narnia from my imagination to paper. I believe you are familiar with that initiative.
Yes. A school for refugees was set up near my home in an abandoned factory at the end of the war because of Pied Piper. I remember asking Mother, what are all these children doing here? Where are their parents? She told me that London was constantly getting bombed and that they had to be sent to the countryside for safety. Whenever I complained about chores or rationing, Mother would remind me that I was fortunate. I got to stay here in my home with my family club. Those children down the road, they didn't.
You were fortunate. My whole family was relocated to Coventry since our home in Dover became a major target for the Nazis. My brothers made the whole thing worse by convincing 5-year-old me that the German soldiers were coming for my toys.
Oh my, what did you do?
I followed their advice and did everything they said to bury everything special to me in the back garden. You laugh, but I was putting Charlie in the hole when my dad came out to stop me.
How diabolical. Just who was Charlie?
My pet kitten.
I am certain it was her older brother who so masterfully persuaded her.
It most definitely takes one to know one.
Sadly, we've gotten off topic. How did Operation Pied Piper inspire Narnia?
Well, in those days, Churchill had asked me to do a series of radio addresses to keep up the morale of the British people. So I would talk about things like a Christian's role in government, the battle versus good and evil, and so forth. It was during the preparation for one of these talks that as I was writing the story,
I'm trying here to prevent anyone saying the really foolish thing that people often say about him. I'm ready to accept Jesus as a great moral teacher, but I don't accept his claim to be God. That is the one thing we must not say. A man who is merely a man and said the sort of things Jesus said would not be a great moral teacher. He would either be a lunatic on the level with a man who says he is a poached egg, or else he would be the devil of hell. You must make your choice. Either this man was and is the Son of God, or else a madman or something worse. You can shut him up for a fool. You can spit at him and kill him as a demon. Or you can fall at his feet and call him Lord and God. But let us not come with any patronizing nonsense about this being a great human teacher. He has not left that open to us. He did not intend to.
Just like that, Sarah. Well done. How's geometry coming, June?
Well, I like the measuring of angles and studying the different shapes, but I hate the curves. I know it's a triangle. What does it matter how many angles are congruent?
I completely agree with you on that one.
It's not that bad. It's conjugating Latin verbs that makes me frustrated. It's a dead language for a reason.
Well, I can help you with your Latin, Miss Harrison, if you'd like.
How are you with groups, sir?
You have my utmost sympathy. I believe Miss Moore would be a better resource for you on that.
Let me take a look. If I can help Jack with using secondary school, I think I can make it a little easier for you.
Are you finished writing now, sir? Miss Moore told us not to bother you while we're working on your radio class.
I believe I can take a moment to pause. I appreciate your patient restraint. Now, how is your knitting going?
Pretty well. I'm making a muffler for my brother. Mother's last letter said it was stitched on a bowel. So it should come in handy.
There's nothing to do here. In London, I could at least go to the cinema with my friends.
And then a siren would go off, and you'd spend the rest of the evening in a crowded bomb shelter, a dusty basement, or the underground. None of those places fit my definition of entertainment.
But anything's better than sitting around here. This is my 5th time reading Pride and Prejudice.
I'd be happy to help you find another book. One advantage of staying at the Kilns is we have an abundance of books. So many you can trip over them.
But I've been through all of them. The ones on the desk, on the bookshelves, on the stairs. They're all about old stuff and so boring.
Will you stop complaining? You're very thankful for all that you're doing to take care of us. Professor Lewis, Miss Moore, and your mom, too. It's not an excuse, but Hattie's cousin was just classified as missing in action, and her brother's finished...
Say no more. I too have a brother serving on the front lines. And so please know that our prayers are for all of our servicemen, especially those in our families. Now what a comfort to know the one who holds them in the palm of his hand.
Amen. Since we covered geometry for the evening, I need to go bring in the sheets from off the line. No one will have a bed to sleep in tonight.
What are we going to do with you when Well, Mr. Blake takes you away.
He will do just fine. I do hope the war is over before August. I know it's selfish, but
We understand. A wedding near the war isn't quite as fun, is it? We wish it to be like.
thank you, but you should stay here and keep working on your muffler. I'll return shortly.
I'm so bored.
When I was a boy, I had to spend much time indoors, entertaining myself. So, I would write stories about warrior mice. Like, what if I told you a story this evening? What do you think of it?
Yes, please do, sir.
Anything. Yes, please.
One wintry day, I was walking through the woods and came upon a curious sight. There in the woods was a man, but instead of legs, he had goat's legs, and instead of feet, he had goat's hooves.
Ooh, I know what that is. It's a fawn, isn't it?
We're listening.
You are correct. This particular fawn had been a friend of mine since I was 16. Let's see. He was wearing a red woolen muffler, and out of his curly hair poked two little points. In one hand, he held a great green umbrella over his head, and under the other, he was carrying packages. Then, all of a sudden, before he had taken too many steps, he stopped, astonished. There, in his path before, was something both good and terrible. A lion with a great golden mane and fierce, solemn, terrible eyes. The fawn felt all trembly inside and halted.
Where did the
I don't know. I've been dreaming about the lion for some time now, and he just popped into the story without a thought.
I've come to rescue you from boarding girls. There are bets to be made. Come along quickly. It would be much easier if we all work together.
But what about the story? It just seems like there might be more to it than a fun movie.
Why don't you go with this more now, and then tomorrow, when you finish your lab, continue. Perhaps, maybe you'll find yourself in the story too.
June was a wonderful girl. She stayed on as our housekeeper after the war until Jack ruined everything.
Oh my, sir, what did you do?
Doesn't need to be mentioned, Warney.
He's too modest to tell, but we had both known she had always wanted to be an actress, so Jack paid for her to go to drama school. You've probably heard of her.
I don't think so.
That's odd. I heard Jill Raymond's latest play was a pretty big hit.
Jill Raymond was June? Amazing. The most famous actress in all England made your beds and washed your dishes.
We must thank you, both of you, for opening up your home and sharing your stories with us, but we must be leaving now. And this time, I have everything I need for my assignment. What about you, Irene?
Just one last thing. Professor, you've published a new book in the Narnia series from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe in 1950 to The Silver Chair just about 2 months ago. Should your readers be expecting more to come in 1954? Maybe even more than that?
There's the question. Do I tell you nothing and keep my publishers happy, or do I give you a little token and ease your curiosity? How about this? Let me pose a question to you.
Excellent.
Have you found the tollers of the great knock in the stories yet? If so, the series is complete.
But what does that even mean?
Never have you looked more like a cat playing with a mouse.
Well, I'm a sturdy soul. Challenge accepted. You've been so generous with me, I don't know how I'll ever repay you.
Well, first present your work with complete honesty. No lies hanging over your head will give you indescribable relief. And then, when you write about the man, meditate on the lessons you learned and try to grasp them sooner. You see, wisdom is learning from the scars of others.
I hear you.
Miss Carrington, I need to take you to the kitchen before you leave, or Miss Tilby will never let me in there again.
Well, farewell, Professor, and thank you for everything.
Go ahead, Irene. I'd like to discuss something with Professor Lewis.
I have a feeling this is something more than wanting to take my picture.
Yes, sir. I have an ethics issue.
How many do you have assistants?
You see, the first time I visited your home, I overheard you call Irene a stranger, which means she lied to get this assignment. My struggle is now I know and I feel like I'm a part of her lie as well. What do I do?
Miss Brooks, I believe you to be a fairly diligent student of the Word. What does it say you're supposed to do when your friend has sinned?
I know I'm supposed to restore a brother overtaken in a fault, but that's just the thing. Irene isn't a believer. If I confront her, I risk pushing a girl away from Christ that I've been trying to show for so long. But if I don't tell Mrs. Pullman, I risk losing my job and just having this lie on my shoulders and having a seared conscience, and I just don't know what to do.
I see. On the one hand, you will violate your conscience if you let the lie continue, but on the other hand, you cannot confront Irene as a sister in Christ. Then you have the added temptation that Irene is ignorant of your knowledge. Let me ask you this. What is God's will for Irene?
To be saved.
Now, does challenging her choice, does that point her to a need of a Savior?
Truthfully, I don't want to talk to Irene about this at all. What if she gets upset and doesn't want to be my friend anymore, and then I...
Breathe. How can you come alongside Irene? Not challenge her choice or cover her sin, but how can you point her to Christ?
I guess I've been thinking about what's right for me, not for her. So, I don't know.
Now you are in the ideal mindset. Stop thinking about how to make your world calm and neat and comfortable. And instead focus on what is necessary for Irene's eternal soul. Think of that. That's where you start. Now, isn't it a comfort to know that even though you don't know what to do, you know the one who gives abundant wisdom to all who ask?
Yes. Well, I have to say, I'm surprised that you haven't turned in your article yet. It's getting so close to the deadline that you may not finish in time. I turned mine in this morning.
Well, thank you for your concern, Elizabeth. Thank you, Jeff.
Is everything okay? I'm getting a little dizzy from all the back and forth.
Just turn the article in. You know it's good.
But I promised him. Just let me read over it one more time. I read. Alice, I wasn't expecting to see you here this morning.
When I stopped by your flat on Saturday, Catherine said you were locked away and busy writing. I wanted to talk to you.
Poor Catherine. I was not the best roommate this morning. I was working so hard on my article. You know how important this is.
Of course I do. Is that it? I'm surprised it isn't on Mrs. Pullman's desk yet.
So are we. Seriously, Jeff's gonna start some kind of lottery for how many last round of office it takes to work up the courage here.
Thank you for your support, gentlemen.
Well, I think that says something about her writing. If she's so nervous to turn it in.
Encouraging as always, Elizabeth. How do you humble yourself to tarring us mere mortals?
And why do you always assume that I'm being unkind?
You see, I finished writing the article last night. It's done, but I honestly don't know I put so much effort into finishing it anyways. I guess I just had to tell a story, you know?
What do you mean? You wrote the article for a chance at being published, right?
No. I've made a promise that I'll guarantee no one ever reads this.
I understand. I hope you know that I'll be your friend no matter
No,
what.
Alice. You don't know what I did.
Actually, I do. I overheard you and Professor Lewis on our first visit.
You knew? You knew and you covered for me?
Not covering for you, but staying beside you so you would be brave to do the right thing on your own.
But I don't understand. Why would you help me?
Not only because we're friends, but also Christ has shown that to me. And I should show the same love and forgiveness to you. So, what are you going to do now?
I want you to read it. That way at least someone will know what I've learned.
I'd be honored, but I think you should give it to Mrs. Pullman first.
No. Once she reads this, it's a resignation letter I wrote last night when I decided I'd follow through my promise. But then when I got here, it all just seemed so easy to put the article on her desk and no one would know.
Why resign?
Seriously? You saw what happened with Teddy. Once Mrs. Pullman finds out, no. Just let me keep the tiny ounce of my pride I have left and not stick around for Elizabeth to float.
You don't know what will happen. Cutting away after all of your hard work? I don't think that's the lesson Professor Lewis intended for you to learn.
I think you guys have had enough time to solve the world's problems. Mrs. Pullman should be here any minute now, so take the first step towards becoming a war correspondent and turn in your article.
Just saying, you might want to reconsider your plans if a deadline makes you nervous.
You all are right. I haven't been very brave. I want to thank you all for all the help you've given a first-time writer. I hope I can use this experience in my future.
You sound like you're saying goodbye instead of giving your big chance. Cheer up. I'm sure you did great.
It doesn't matter how I did. I don't think Mrs. Pullman will want to publish my article.
Well, of course not. Everyone knows Mrs. Pullman would much rather prefer.
I am so sorry, Irene. Elizabeth was unintentionally rude just now. Keep going.
You see, when I told all of you and Mrs. Pullman that C.S. Lewis was a friend of mine, I lied. The first time I met him was 5 days ago.
And you had me believing you were a sincere reporter? Congratulations. You fooled me.
Well, why say anything at all? You're throwing away this golden chance. For what?
For a promise I made to Professor Lewis. He told me that if I was honest with everyone back at the Gazette, then he would let me interview him. It's a bit of a paradox to say now, but that is the truth.
I'm sure we all promised not to tell Mrs. Pullman so you can stay.
You're assuming quite a lot to speak for everyone.
Yes, he may be fine with covering for you, but I am not. You can be certain I am telling Mrs. Pullman everything, just as soon as she gets back. And I cannot
Listen,
give
she gave her a chance, okay? And she lied.
Just because she confesses that make it all right, she can do exactly.
It's fine. Mrs. Pullman's going to do it just like she did.
She stole the checks from me and then she lied on everything.
Enough! It's gone.
It's the first thing she's done right since she got here.
Elizabeth, you won!
I wasn't aware that I had entered a contest.
The Gazette no longer has a brilliant writer because she took responsibility for her actions. be honest with yourself for once and think you'll try.
Well,
Let Mrs. Pullman read Irene's letter before you say anything. For once, extend a small amount of courtesy and think of someone else before yourself.
Alice, do you have
Dear Mrs. Pullman, please forgive me for having to leave my internship early, but I don't deserve to be here anymore. The truth is, I was so eager, so desperate to get a chance to prove to you I could be a good writer, that I lied to get the opportunity. I met Professor Lewis for the first time 5 days ago. Professor Lewis quickly saw through my lie and made me promise to tell everyone the truth. But he also decided to let me interview him. Writing about his journey and life lessons has changed my life, and I thank you for the opportunity you gave me to gain this invaluable understanding. I look forward to reading Elizabeth's article on the front page. She deserves to be there. Best wishes, Irene Carrington.
The post, sir.
Thank you, Miss Stewart.
And a friend of Miss Carrington's is at the door, insisting she has something important to tell you.
Is it Miss Brooks?
No, sir. It's another young lady from the Gazette.
You are getting quite popular with student reporters, aren't you?
I have no idea why. Perhaps Miss Carrington needs some assistance. Please show her in, Mrs. Tilby.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Professor Lewis. I am Elizabeth Wexford.
Pleased to meet you, Miss Wexford. My brother, Major Lewis.
Pleasure to meet you. Please sit down.
Now, how may I be of assistance?
Irene told all of us about your deception. What I don't understand is why you let her use you.
So that is the nature of the call. I chose to let Miss Carrington use me, as you say, because I wished to help her. I don't see why this is your concern.
Because she lied to you, to me, and to everyone else. And then you went against your practices and let her interview you? Oh, but no one else.
Well, apparently she confessed her lie to you and everyone else at the paper. So once again, I ask, why are my motivations your concern?
What does confessing have to do with anything? We were both tasked with writing an article about you. I went about things the right way, while she was sneaky and deceptive.
Well, we are all sinners in need of grace, Miss Wexford. Christ forgave so much that I did against him. If I'm to follow his example, I must do the same.
But it's your reputation, and it's the Gazette's reputation as well. I'm astounded that you care so little about how she represented you.
Trust me, he is much more odd than anything she could have written. These stories I could tell you.
Again with the helping warning.
All right. You are odd. Fine. But it doesn't make sense. Why did you tell her all of these personal stories and let her say these things? In case you were not aware, this is not the best publicity for you.
Following Christ is not rational, Miss Wexford. You are correct.
What does following Christ have to do with anything?
The Apostle Paul said that the foolishness of God is greater than the wisdom of man.
I fully expected you to be angry at what she said. Perhaps demand that her story never go to print, or have her sent down from Oxford. But instead, you stand here talking religion instead of demanding justice.
Miss Wexford, I allowed Miss Carrington to interview me because I believed she was in search of truth. and in need of a guide. I did not condone her dishonesty. In fact, I made it a prerequisite for our interview that she come clean and be honest with everyone at the paper, including you. That is not religion or justice. It's called grace.
My research didn't turn up your interest in becoming a clergyman. You sound like a Sunday sermon. Very well. I can see that you have no desire to punish Irene, and she has left the paper of her own accord, so there is nothing left for me to do. Except there's still this article, the one that Irene wrote. What do I do with this?
Miss Wexford, I believe you know what to do with that. You said you've researched my personal life and my writings. Now, which article would you want to read? I look forward to seeing and reading your decision. Good afternoon, Miss Wexford. Today's edition of the Gazette.
I can't wait to see your charming smile.
Wonder whose article's going to be published in this one.
I'm too old and blind to read over your shoulder, so please read aloud.
C.S. Lewis, mythological man of mystery. Miss Carrington is the author.
What a brilliant title. She's made someone as plain as you sound so positively heroic.
The popular children's book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, is full to the brim with detailed imaginary creatures and engaging plot twists. But the most complex character in the story is not fictional at all. Its author, C.S. Lewis, is indeed a shocking personality himself, with quite a tale to tell of his own life experience throughout his 50-something years.
50-something years. That's a pretty good way to describe you.
Might I remind you that you are also 50-something, and perilously close to 60-something.
It's a good point. Please continue.
Throughout his 50-something years, Lewis's love for stories evolved and expanded quickly from his childhood favorite, Squirrel Nutkin, to his near worship of Norse mythologies and fantasies of all origins in his teen and adult years. In fact, much of his own work in the Chronicles of Narnia and other books is influenced by the reading he has done throughout his life. The childhood love for worlds built by words that Lewis's mother instilled in him has certainly carried him farther than she ever could have imagined.
Do you think Mother would be proud to be remembered for her literary encouragement?
Though many of his most avid fans insist that the Chronicles of Narnia is inspired by Christian religion and its themes, The author denies these claims, saying that he never intended for the stories to align with the Bible the way that they do. Intentional or not, Christian readers continue to appreciate the allegories between the two books, knowing that C.S. Lewis is a devout Christian himself. He is renowned for his logical approach to his faith and for his intentional insight into the real-life issues of the average man.
Elizabeth, please, wait.
What do you want?
This? How did this happen? I mean, how was my article published?
Mrs. Pullman selected it for the paper. Oh, you really did not pay attention when you were at the Gazette,
No,
did you?
Elizabeth, I understand that much, but how did she even... Alice must have shown her my article.
You, should be proud of yourself. Sincerely, your article was much better than the one I wrote.
My roommate's description leads me to believe you're the one that left this for me. And she said you left one for him as well. I can only assume she meant Professor Lewis. I'm grateful, but why?
Lewis earnestly chased after a vague something his entire life. Joy. He describes joy as more of an experience than a feeling. He sought for joy for so long because joy is never in our power. He could never control when or how joy comes upon him, though he did discover a pattern of activities that brought it about. Lewis recalls several experiences that gave him joy throughout his life and incited greater desire for it as he grew older. The beauty of nature he noticed as a child, a certain book he especially liked, the inconceivable greatness of mythological gods and their realms. All of these aroused that sense of joy in Lewis. But those joy moments were always fleeting, leaving only the shell of nostalgia upon later recollection.
When you left, I happened to see your finished piece, and I read it. I had discovered some of what you wrote about, but there were other parts that were so unusual that I had to find out for myself. I figured if he would talk with you, he would answer my questions as well. You are not so special.
Elizabeth, I'm not so conceited to think I'm the only one he would talk to. But what still confuses me is why Mrs. Pullman would choose.
I showed her your article and said that she should print the better piece. I am proud of the Gazette, and I want it to continue its tradition of excellence. So if that means your article over mine,
Elizabeth, this means so much to me. Thank you.
Joy was not found in the cold, unfeeling idea of a religion. His mother's death and the inhumanity of war only cemented his disbelief in God. Lewis saw religion and God as irrational for years, but through an academic club he created with some colleagues, Lewis was slowly but surely persuaded of the veracity of the Bible and so on. After his conversion experience in 1931, Lewis slowly became convinced of just how many moments in his life were truly joy moments. He realized that his quest for joy was not a longing for beauty or a vivid imagination, but that his soul yearned for God. Lewis believes that his faith has brought him the ultimate lasting joy moment.
I hope I can be as generous as you when I become a reporter one day.
one day, you already are. Oh, but don't get too excited. Mrs. Pullman expects you in her office tomorrow after classes. I do not envy the
You
conversation.
mean I can stay in the paper? After I had with Teddy, I thought
Oh, she is only letting you stay on as an intern. The literary column will be someone else's responsibility. But you didn't lie in your article. Eventually, you told her the truth. Everyone at the paper is raving about your dedication, so she must have been convinced to give you a second chance.
I don't know what to say.
Well, I would say you are a fool if you don't take this opportunity. Oh, and do not be late Monday.
C.S. Lewis is not an author of children's stories who lives well on profits and seeks to Christianize the world through his work. He is not merely a great teacher at Oxford College. He is a humble and generous man who performs countless quiet acts of kindness for those who might otherwise be ignored, and encourages another generation to join him in his immense love for the world of words. His critics call Mr. C.S. Lewis a fantastical man of religion. His supporters believe him to be a spiritual genius. Which is he? Could it be possible that he is in fact both?
I have some thoughts, but I'm curious what yours are.
I hear you, Miss Carrington. I hear you.